The ick is a curious and sometimes frustrating aspect of dating and attraction. That sudden, inexplicable feeling of repulsion toward a romantic interest, triggered by something as minor as the way they walk, chew, or laugh, can feel overwhelming in the moment. But what's really happening when we experience the ick? Is it a useful evolutionary instinct? Or is it an unconscious bias that holds us back from forming meaningful relationships? Neuroscience suggests that the ick isn't something we consciously choose to feel. Instead, it's a rapid, almost reflexive reaction triggered by pattern recognition in the brain. When we first meet someone, our minds create an idealized version of them, filling in gaps with our own assumptions and desires. But when something about their behavior or mannerisms clashes with that imagined version, it disrupts our expectations, shattering the illusion of perfection. The anterior insular cortex, a region of the brain involved in emotional processing, seems to be highly active in these moments, interpreting sensory signals and forming associations, sometimes exaggerating small details into significant turnoffs. This reaction can be traced back to our evolutionary past, when choosing a mate was a decision tied to survival and genetic fitness. Our ancestors likely relied on instinctive cues to avoid partners who might be unhealthy, unreliable, or incompatible. The ick could be a modern manifestation of that ancient impulse, helping us identify qualities we subconsciously associate with incompatibility. However, while it might have served a purpose in prehistoric times, its usefulness in today's dating world is less clear. For some, the ick is a fleeting feeling that passes with time, especially in long-term relationships. The quirks that initially seemed repulsive can become endearing once emotional bonds are established. This suggests that the ick isn't always a definitive sign of incompatibility. It's often just an initial reaction that can soften with familiarity and deeper connection. In fact, in stable, committed relationships, oxytocin and dopamine, the brain's bonding and pleasure chemicals, can override the intensity of the ick, allowing people to see their partner's flaws as part of their unique charm rather than as deal breakers. But there's also a warning here. If left unchecked, the ick can become a barrier to forming meaningful relationships. Perfectionism and unrealistic expectations can amplify minor annoyances, leading some people to prematurely end connections that had real potential. Social media reinforces this tendency, creating an environment where small quirks are overanalyzed and ridiculed, rather than accepted as part of a person's individuality. While standards in dating are important, dismissing someone over a trivial behavior, like how they hold a fork or pronounce a word, could be a sign that the real issue lies in the way we approach relationships, rather than in the other person. Interestingly, studies suggest that women are more likely to experience the ick than men, possibly due to evolutionary factors. In many species, females are more selective in choosing mates, looking for traits that signal strength, stability, or good parenting potential. This heightened selectivity could explain why women are more sensitive to subtle cues that might indicate a poor match. However, it's important to differentiate between instinctive red flags, such as signs of disrespect, dishonesty, or emotional unavailability, and trivial turnoffs that might not actually impact long-term compatibility. The key takeaway is that the ick, while real and often intense, doesn't have to dictate our romantic choices. Being open to understanding where these feelings come from can help us navigate them more thoughtfully. Instead of immediately rejecting someone over a minor quirk, taking a step back to reflect can lead to a more balanced perspective. Is this reaction based on a genuine incompatibility, or is it simply an unexpected behavior that challenges our preconceived ideas? Attraction is complex, and relationships thrive on more than just initial chemistry. Long-term happiness is built on shared values, emotional connection, and mutual respect, qualities that aren't always apparent in the first moments of dating. Learning to distinguish between deal breakers and harmless idiosyncrasies can help us make better, more fulfilling romantic choices. Rather than letting the ick dictate our love lives, we can use it as a moment of self-reflection. Are we holding onto an unrealistic image of perfection? Are we allowing minor irritations to overshadow deeper compatibility? By approaching relationships with curiosity rather than immediate judgment, we open ourselves up to the possibility of genuine, lasting connection. The ick might be a natural response, But it doesn't have to be the final word in our search for love.